So here we are for round two. I am on the draw. This was my 7. I kept this because I've got a turn 2 play in the form of Mana Leak. Turn 1 Ponder immediately tells me that we are probably playing the mirror. How exciting! So maybe this isn't as good as I thought it was. Turn 2 Gather the Townsfolk then tells me that maybe it's not. Maybe it's closer to Dennis Rashid's top 8 deck from Pro Tour Dark Ascension. So 2 Gather the Townsfolk down early. I then draw the Seacrown Coast. How nice. So he brings in his 2 humans. I choose not to Vapor Snag because I need to keep something up for Mana Leak. So it puts him off his turn 3 play, but what also probably puts off his turn 3 play is the fact he didn't get a 3rd land. So there's my turn. There's my Lingering Souls. Put down Moorland Haunt, and this turn I can both Vapor Snag and Mana Leak, which is quite nice. I was quite aggressive with my Vapor Snag because it's effectively, instead of tokens can't be returned to your hand, they're automatically exiled when they're removed from the battlefield. So I was quite aggressive because it was basically a Hornet Sting and a creature kill card, so that's quite nice. I still took 1, putting me on to 17, and then he got a 2nd Gather the Townsfolk, which I promptly Mana Leaked because I can. So I got Ponder and saw Snap Evolving Wilds. Not an awful lot to get excited about. But I did get Lingering Souls, which is nice. I maybe could have held up 4 mana for Snapcaster Mana Leak, but at this stage Lingering Souls seems to be the better play because two creatures to 1. Some people may have kept mana up, but I like to try and be as offensive as possible. This is more of an aggro deck than it is a control deck. So he attacks with his human, and I took it because it's the early game, and I had I didn't have the number of creatures to block, and I wasn't exactly desperate. No black mana to flashback Lingering Souls. I could have gone with Evolving Wilds, but Drogskull Captain at this stage seems pretty tasty. I probably should have held back on it because he did leave 2 mana up, so chances are there was a Mana Leak, but I wanted to be aggressive. And if he didn't have Mana Leak, I would have had Drogskull Captain, and next turn I would have had Phantasmal Image, and then I would have basically won the game from there. So I took a risk. He did have the Mana Leak, which was a shame. But still attacking for 2, putting him down to 17. Always nice. I then proceeded to play the Evolving Wilds to get the black mana for next turn. The risk, of course, to playing Drogskull Captain and whiffing is that I leave myself open next turn for whatever he plays. He played Snapcaster Mage to bring back Gather the Townsfolk, which was a bit strange. I would have thought he might have, because his clock was greater than mine, so I would have thought that maybe he'd keep Snappy back to Mana Leak whatever I did to try and swing momentum back in my favour. So I found that quite unusual, but I took it like a man. Went down to 13. Out of the way. End of turn, sacked the Evolving Wilds, found a swamp. So I could finally start flashbacking Lingering Souls. That's probably the third different way I've pronounced Lingering Souls in this video series. So Oblivion Ring and Gut Shot. Nothing to be particularly scared about. I decided to keep on bringing the pressure, even though he's got quite the army assembled there, because I am still on 11, and I mean, if he did have on the pure, I'm just dead anyway. But I have Mana Leak. I have all sorts to continue to try and stem the flow. I flashback Lingering Souls, still leaving 3 mana up for Mana Leak. But then he went a bit crazy. He drew another Gut Shot, and at that stage I was in a wee bit of trouble. He attacks with pretty much everything. So I flashed in Snapcaster Mage. I also had a Vapor Snag, so I chose to flashback the Vapor Snag. This time I was aware of what was in my graveyard, so I was getting there slowly. Vapor Snag's a token. Blocked the Snapcaster Mage. Traded with that. Went down to 7. And at this stage, things are looking a slightly better. Ponder. Saw Drog Skull Captain. I said I'll be having some of that. So got Drog Skull Captain, then Phantasmal Image, so I could get multiple Drog Skull Captains. So I could give each one hexproof. That seemed to be pretty nice. But I decided not to play it because he had one card. Because he had one card in his hand, and I think because he had mana up, so I was scared of Mana Leak. But I'd already I'd already seen his hand with Gitaxian Probe, so I knew it was Oblivion Ring. So that was my initial reason. I then figured out that if I could play Drogskull Captain, then Phantasmal Image, he couldn't target any of my spirits with his Oblivion Ring because they'd all have hexproof. So that seemed to be quite good for me. Then he made a spirit token end of turn because I got rid of his Snapcaster. So I was still a bit on edge slightly, but I knew that if I'd have the time to get both my Drog Skulls down next turn, I'd be fine. So there's the Oblivion Ring, or Token Vindicators, it's also known as. I think one mana token Vindicate's better than your 3 mana token Vindicate, but hey, who am I to judge? So he played the land, then he played the Oblivion Ring, so now he had no cards in hand. So yes, he gets some extra damage in, and then I make a spirit token of my own, and then block 2 of his creatures to go down to 4, which again isn't ideal, but slowly but surely we're getting there. Get another Phantasmal Image, as I did with my Ponder from last turn, as I stacked with my Ponder from last turn. So I got a Drogskull Captain, then I got a Phantasmal Image, and suddenly I had 2 3/3 hexproof flyers that gave other spirits +1/+1. So any spirit tokens that came in at this stage all got +1/+1, and so I was very much on top. At this stage, even though I'm on 4, I'm starting to stabilise. He doesn't have any creatures in his graveyard, so he can't Moorland Haunt, which is fine by me. So I came in with Drugstore Captains, putting him down to 4. And then drew another Lingering Souls, which is always nice. And then, so I played it, and then I gave it. I had one card in hand, and I was thinking maybe it's Mana Leak. But at this stage, if I can just get in extra pressure, this is the time to really press home advantage. Press home the advantage. If you have Mana Leak, then that's fine. I've still got 2 spirits to block with, and he can't make any more because he hasn't got any creatures in the graveyard. So I was fine with him Mana Leaking at that stage. And then end of turn, Midnight Haunting, which I was surprised he was playing. Most people are now using Lingering Souls. I suppose since he's got no black, he can afford to play the instant speed one rather than the sorcery speed one. But nothing left for him to do, and because I was just going to swing over next turn for the win.